Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Hayward, a behavior resource teacher.
And I'm Debbie Whiteford, also a behavior resource teacher. And we're going to share our screen with you.
There we go. Today, we are going to talk with you about dealing with fears. Our goals for today's lesson are that we are going to discuss common fears at various developmental levels, and we're going to provide ideas and activities for how you can help your child or children deal and overcome with their fears. So first, we want you to know that fears are common. Kids can experience fear at any age, and often those fears are a normal part of their development. Some fears can be mild or short-lived, while others may interfere with your child's daily activities. It is completely normal for children to feel afraid at times. Fear is not always bad. Fear is an emotion that can help kids be cautious. Things that are new, big, loud, or different can definitely seem very scary at first. But parents can help kids feel safe and learn to feel at ease. So we want to teach our children to be careful near that hot stove or fire, and we want them to be cautious around that stove. And we also want to teach our children to be cautious of strangers. Evolution of fears. So our fears change and evolve from when we're children to adulthood. As children get older, their fears change. Their world is expanding to then include unknown people and places. So their fears might change from monsters under the bed to then more concrete fears such as failure in schoolwork. Some common childhood fears are being alone, the dark, dogs or other big animals, bugs, heights, getting shots or going to the doctor, unfamiliar or loud noises, and sometimes imaginary monsters or that thing under their bed. And I know as a child, I could probably list quite a few of those that I feared. Some school-aged fears are, again, being home alone, going to the doctor or the dentist, storms and natural disasters, fear of a teacher who's angry, and maybe some scary news or TV shows. Fears and worries are more real world because teens become more aware of their surroundings. So sometimes we think of fears only being for little kids, but teenagers can definitely have fears too. And some common fears for teens are driving, failure in school or work, fear of their parents divorcing, social fears such as embarrassment at school, public speaking, and performances. And some other fears for teens are bullying, getting hurt or dying, or fear of someone they love getting sick, hurt, or dying.
So, thank you, Mrs. Hayward. Now we're going to talk about how we can help our kids and our teens through these fears and their worries. So first, when we're talking about how we can help them, we want to stay calm and confident. We don't want to force our children to confront their fears before they're ready. It's really important to lead by example. So for example, sometimes the best way to teach your child how to overcome their fear is to show them how it's done. So if they're afraid of swimming and you're not, dive right into that pool and show them what swimming looks like so that it helps them with their fear or their worry. And give them the control. If they're afraid of intruders in the night, make shutting and locking their bedroom window or your front door one of the nighttime responsibilities. It's very important to communicate and keep those lines of communications open with your children and teens. Encouraging and praising them is extremely important. Reassure them that they are there, that you are there, that you are there for them, and encourage them to deal with their fears in their own way and in their own time. Answer their questions and be honest and transparent with them. Encourage your child to ask you any questions they like, and do your best to answer them in a gentle, age-appropriate way, especially with your older children. And last but not least, taking these things in little baby steps is important. You can help your child conquer their fear by gently exposing them to that fear, which gradually increases with time and practice. For example, if your child's afraid of the bath, you can start by having a small amount of water in the bath and then gradually adding more. Use a jug to pour a little on his hands, or use your hand to cup the water and just drip it over their hands or their feet. Then progress to pouring a little on the back of his neck. Keep taking small steps until he or she feels confident with that bath. So we thought it would be great to share a couple of activities with you that you could do with younger children and even with your teens. One of them is the monster box. Help kids get rid of their fears by creating a monster out of an empty tissue box or shoe box, whatever you've got on hand. Have your child write down the things that they are afraid of on a piece of paper and feed them to the monster. Now, if your child is small and not of the age that they can write, they can tell you their fear and you can write it down for them. Have them crumple that paper though and feed it to the monster. That's important. By writing out their fears, kids can take their thoughts out onto paper. Feeding them to the monster is a tangible way of removing the fear from themselves and passing it on to that imaginary creature. Another activity that I even did in my classroom with my kids, and we used a basketball hoop and played trash ball with it. We have the kids write their fears on paper, crumple that piece of paper up, and then throw it away. You'd be surprised how excited they got, and we're just focused on the activity and not the fear anymore. It creates a visual way to release some of their fear. And lastly, and maybe more appropriate for your older children and teens as the fears turn to worries with those unknowns, you could work through this activity with your child. Have them ask themselves the questions, but you can guide a conversation with them about the answers they have. So answering questions, how big is my worry? I do this with my own child. We talk about little worries and big worries, a scale of 1 to 5, but starting with questions like, how much danger am I really in right now? What am I thinking about that keeps me worried or afraid? What am I afraid of or worried about? And then make a plan to have new thoughts to manage these fears or worry, like I will think, give them those statements. I will think, I will say, I will do. All of those things will help them to not over-respond to a fear or worry. And lastly, we just wanted to let you know that if you need more assistance with behavior, first reach out to your child's teacher. Say you need help with behavior. They will reach out to district staff like myself and Erin on the behavior group. District staff and or your child's teacher will connect with you to set a time to meet on a virtual platform or via phone. We hope this was helpful for you and have a wonderful day.